From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big evening on Evenings LALATE with a big update about your fourth stimulus check of 2021. Direct from Santa Monica, but with the latest details from Capitol Hill minutes ago. Number one, that the debt ceiling limit deal may be hatched in the middle of the night and the vote happening tomorrow, OMG. But then the big details, of course, happening on a Saturday night. And guess what? We're still looking at the excitement of that when the House passed a $3.5 trillion recon package. This is huge. Checks in there, cluster number 1, 2, and 3, passed. Checks for the American people. What are they? Let's go over all the incredible details. In cluster number 1's checks were items for hazard pay, money for seniors, money for workers, and more. Cluster number 2 checks, money for paid leave. And then cluster number 3's checks for cheaper prescription medication, and then checks for also free internet. In this recording, we'll go over the dramatics that happened minutes ago as the House and the Senate are looming for a potential deal in the middle of the night for the stopgap continuing resolution of the debt ceiling limit. Number 1 of 3 bills may be done. And number 2 of 3 bills is your recon, with the progressives saying they're adding in those IRS monthly stimulus checks. And number 3 bill, well, that one is the roads and bridges, and that vote's happening tomorrow. But what is Pelosi planning to do with that vote? I have all the incredible details, because guess what? As we go into a big night, this recording taped after afternoon's LALATE before it has brand new updates. I have major developing details about all 3 legislations, including your recon. It's all happening now. It's all happening this evening. It's all happening right this moment, direct from Santa Monica. And this is Evenings LALATE. Hope you weather is good where you are. Thank you for tuning in. It's a beautiful Wednesday night here in Southern California, and guess what? The next 48 hours will be dramatics. But tonight, a lot of breaking news you're hearing for the first time on Evenings LALATE, totally brand new since even the afternoon show that aired just 2 hours before this broadcast. I'm going to have a lot in this recording. First of all, we're going over the $3.5 trillion recon passed on a House subcommittee on Saturday. Checks in cluster number 1. Checks in there for hazard pay, seniors, workers, even fixing the home. Cluster number 2's checks passed, including educational grants and also money to weatherize the home. Cluster number 3's checks passed as well, including money for seniors, workers, and free internet. Then, the breaking details minutes ago as a potential deal on the debt ceiling limit is looming. I'll explain what's happening, and this is likely to get finalized out of nowhere. They're going to potentially get this for a vote tonight, if not early tomorrow. Number 2, a vote tomorrow on the roads and bridges. But that vote on the roads and bridges being pushed by the moderate Democrats caused major angst with Nancy Pelosi, who has your back with the progressives. What do the progressives want? Your recon. And they're protecting it over the finish line. And they say they're adding in IRS monthly stimulus checks. Wow. And then the President of the United States telling the moderate Democrats, come on board with the recon or I'm getting lost. No joke. It's basically what he said. All those incredible details. There's a lot of breaking news tonight. Stuff you haven't heard anytime today. And it starts right now. So subscribe. This is LALATE, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. I want you to subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, next up 1 million. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. On Saturday in the middle of the night, the House of Representatives subcommittee passed a $3.5 trillion recon. No broadcast media covered the developing details. Nowhere was it seen in print media or any other YouTube channel. I broke you the details as soon as it happened. This was huge because, number 1, passed $3.5 trillion package, and cluster number 1 in there, cluster number 2 in there, and cluster number 3 in there. Let's go over all the incredible details that happened on that big Saturday evening, and we're starting with them with the first cluster starting right now. Hazard pay, seniors, children, MSCs of $51,000, college grants, home repairs, and more. Let's go over all this incredible items in cluster number 1, passed. Hazapay, passed. What do? They took the pushing of this channel and they took it to the finish line. Over 2020, I advocate for Hazapay in no less than 300 videos, and now it will be a lifetime fixture of the American public. They're taking the earned income tax credit and making it a lifetime with a new modification that increases the eligibility so more people qualify for it, and increasing the amount of money. This is huge for those essential workers. Number 2, they got up to $4,000 a year if you care for an elderly person. It's huge. And on the flip side, up to $4,000 a year if you care for a young child. Number 3, they got checks in there to fix your home. If the home is in a low-income household or the low-income community, they'll give you checks for that. Number 4, they got money in there for college students, grants directly to them, grants to the university, and then making the Pell Grants tax-free. Then what about $51,000 of monthly stimulus checks? Yes, they got them in there. They're taking the CTC, the child tax credit, and making it lifetime with a modification. The 11th hour modification done by the House Budget Committee on a Saturday night was to expand the eligibility, and they got it. It will expand the eligibility to include parents that are not biological parents. Great news. How much does it pay? Up to $300 every month for every year for up to 18 years that the household is a low-income household. That's $51,000 per child. Then they got money in there for bikes, cars, and vehicles like trucks, all electric, all U.S. auto manufacturer. Number 1, up to 15% for the purchase price of a new electric bike. Federal government pick up the price tag. Then a new electric car, up to $7,500. Electric vehicle for business use, car or truck, a little bit more. There you go. The first cluster passed by the House of Representatives. In just a second, I'm going to cut to the second cluster because that second cluster has even more money in there, and the third cluster. But first, let's cut to the big surprise. As Janet Yellen, your Treasury Secretary, got something really wonderfully done. And what did she do? She sent out the $13 billion remaining for rent and utilities to the cities, counties, and states before any looming deadline of a debt ceiling default on Friday. This is huge. Treasury set out this $13 billion for rent and utilities to the counties and states. Treasury is happy to provide the state and local governments with additional resources at a time of need. Wow. Now let's cut back to cluster number 2. Those checks are really deliciousness. These are 12 checks that pay a lot of money, and it starts with paid family leave, paid medical leave. What is family leave? You have to stay home because your spouse is pregnant. You have to stay at home because your child broke his leg. Remember, for stimulus, it has nothing to do with COVID. It's just life in general. How much does it pay? $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 more per year, split in half. $35,000 annual salary, $800 a week, split in half. $15,000 annual salary, $400 a week, paid from the federal government to the employer and then to you. This second cluster of checks, which they passed on Saturday, is deliciousness because there are so much big paying items. There are checks for childcare programs, checks for household tax credits, all passed. Checks for seniors like dental checks, vision checks, hearing care, and Medicare. I'll have more about that in the third cluster, which is also passed. Then they made weatherizing your home checks in there also. What is weatherizing your home? If the Purple Hawks are on the roof, you need to weatherize it. They're going to weatherize your home. Checks whether fire area or tornado area. And then they got checks in there for more education. First, pre-kindergarten, totally free. And then community college, totally free across the country. Definitely needed if you want to be bilingual in that second language. That second language is called Los Angeles. Excuse me? Yeah, they just talk funny out there in Los Angeles. No one understands what they're saying. You can now be bilingual in that other language called Los Angeles. And it'll be totally free. Then you'll be able to understand me better. And there we go. Cluster number 3's checks in just a second. But what's going off Congress? What isn't going off Congress is more what I should be saying. Minutes ago, before I went on air, new reports say that the debt ceiling limit deal will be hatched either between Wednesday evening or Thursday morning. Where is it being hatched? It's being hatched on the House, on the Senate floor. I'll be going over that in a second. What's going on with the infrastructure, the roads and bridges? Well, that is going for a vote on Thursday. And the battle over how it's voted, whether it's voted in favor or against, is a big issue of contention. I'll be covering that in the final 15 minutes of this video as well. Your recon. The Democratic progressives are protecting it like Fort Knox and telling viewers this channel, like AOC, Omar, Jalapal, and Pelosi's office just this week, and also on the Senate side, Sanders' office, that they're including those monthly stimulus checks still in there. Oh, yes, those IRS monthly stimulus checks. And then what else dramatics? The President of the United States stepping in and saying, hey, you need to take care of all this. I have all the breaking news. It is all new at Evenings LA. It's coming up in the final 15 minutes. It's just in a second from now. Yes, 3 bills, 3 dramas, and they're all heating at the same time. But let's turn to some more checks. The final third cluster of checks and its deliciousness. These are the checks the president went in there and they got in there. Those third cluster of checks are the following. We have checks for free school meals for all checks, tax break checks, cheaper prescription medication checks, farmers checks, checks for clean energy, checks for internet, checks for workers, checks for independent contractors, checks for seniors, like lowering eligibility age for Medicare, checks for dental, checks for vision, checks for hearing care. 2 items that the president particularly likes in this third cluster are nearly automatic. The first one, cheaper prescription medication. How this work? You go to the pharmacy, pay for a prescription today, maybe take 2 $20 bills out of your wallet, pay for it. This becomes law. Then you go back to refill in about a month from now, the prescription. Then you may only have to take 1 $20 bill out of your wallet, an instant savings. Then they'll offer free internet across the country. Red, blue, all states across the country would offer free internet at a city county level. All you have to do is say, hey, I live here. Oh, really? You want the username and password? I do. What's the username? It is Moolah Moolah. Okay, and what's the password? Don't trip on my scarf 101. There you go. Coming up the second half of this video, we'll be going over the incredible details of what happened late tonight with the debt ceiling limit looming for Friday with that deadline, but perhaps a deal hatched minutes ago. We'll be going with a vote about the bipartisan roads and bridges tomorrow and the dramatics that caused. The dramatics with Nancy Pelosi going after the moderates going after the progressives, the president going after everyone, and then Bernie going after the press. I love it. But first, yes, that fourth stimulus check, IRS MSC. The great news is that Nancy Pelosi has been absolutely consistent with her messaging about this recon. On a Saturday night, a $3.5 trillion recon passed, but what did Nancy Pelosi say in passing it? This is not a bill because it's still a work in progress. It's just sort of like an envelope, as I would say. The envelope says what will be the bill, and if you want to put more stuff in there, you can. That's what Pelosi said Saturday night. If you want to put more stuff in it, you can. That's what the president said Saturday night. That's what he did as well yesterday. He met with Democrat, progressives, and moderates, saying if you want to add stuff, add it. And that's great news, because guess who wants to add it? 1,000 viewers of this channel have been told by no less than a dozen progressives, House and Senate, that they're adding a monthly stimulus check, $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000, running 6 months. And the great news is that they said it before the passage of the 3.5 over the weekend, and they said it since then. They all use future verb tenses. I will be, I'm going to, I'm making a, like amendment. That's the tense of the verbs they're using. All incredible great news. There's 2 ways they can do it. On the House side now, that would be AOC, Jalapal, Omar, or on the Senate side when the Senate votes last during the 2-day vote-a-rama. The great news is that the whole microcosm of how they're doing this is that adding things in if you want to add it in. And that's why Ron Wyden, the Democrat senator, yesterday said, I'm going to add in extension of unemployment benefits. Oh boy, it's heating up. We're just getting started. I have a lot of breaking news, but I'll have it right for you right after this commercial break. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE, live daily The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now, direct from Santa Monica, as evenings LA heats up. And guess what? Word is a deal has been hatched, or potentially about to be hatched, for the debt ceiling limit. Late tonight, indication from Capitol Hill is that the debt ceiling limit deal may be hatched with a potential vote either in the middle of the night after the time of this recording or tomorrow. But then what does tomorrow have for us? For infrastructure, that vote is set for tomorrow. I'll explain the details about what's happening and the dramatics that happened in a meeting just shortly before this recording. Then we'll be cutting over to your recon and why the Democrats are protecting it like gold, because guess what? It is gold. I have all those incredible details in extended final 15 minutes of this video, and it's starting right now. So first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. I go over all the incredible coverage of all the details, the meetings, the coverage of the conversations, the deal offers, the negotiations, day in, day out, hour after hour. And over the next 3 days, there's going to be a lot of dramatics, so you do not want to miss a single video. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's get to all the details, starting with that big surprise of that potential deal in the debt ceiling limit tonight. Well, this is new, of course, since afternoons LA. If you've been with me throughout the day, we have new shows on mornings, new shows at noontime, afternoons, and evenings. This is the last new show of the day, and this is breaking minutes ago. Minutes ago, members of the Senate are signaling that they may have a deal in the debt ceiling limit. The debt ceiling limit comes up this Friday, and the debt ceiling limit was a result of two moves. First, the Democrats on the House passed the debt ceiling limit bill last week, sent it to the Senate, it lost. No surprise there. Then the Senate Republicans wrote a debt ceiling limit bill, but they're not going to get a call for a vote because Chuck Schumer's in control. So what happened after that? Senate Democrats and Senate Republicans start negotiating on the debt ceiling limit. I always said this was an easy one. This is not a difficult one because they're very, very similar bodies of legislation. Their proposals were very similar. So, in fact, a conservative publication tonight says that Rand Paul, which, as you know, is a conservative, who's normally a fiscal hawk and is notoriously against spending, against any type of spending bill, actually said he's not going to block a continuing resolution, CR, yeah, here comes another CR, otherwise called as a stopgap, to be passed in the middle of the night and to continue the issue all the way to December 3rd. This is huge. What are they doing? They have a debt ceiling limit due by this Friday, and they have to come to an agreement quickly. But one of the ways they do it is doing a temporary fix. This is the continuing resolution, which we covered on December 2020. That was the CR for stimulus. Remember that one? So they're looking at doing another CR, which would also be called a stopgap, that would continue the situation to December 3rd. And Republicans say, I'm in favor of it. Rand Paul says, yes, I would do it. Then Republican Senator John Kennedy says, my sense is that we have a lot of this already worked out. I mean, he says he thinks we're almost done. I think we would get it to this point. Chuck Grassley, who is the #1 Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee, says that you may have to remove one provision, which doesn't really belong in there. I don't think it should be in there myself. And then I think we may be done. They're thinking that they could get the vote as early as Wednesday night into Thursday morning on the Senate side, then send it back to the House, which would pass in about 2 seconds. It's a discussion back and forth, but I'm hoping we can reach an agreement today. This is a quote for Wednesday night, or early tomorrow morning, says Senate Minority Whip John Thune. Again, that's a Republican from South Dakota. Senate Majority Whip Dick Durbin, who's a Democrat, says he thinks they can get the vote done tonight. I think we can get it done tonight. And then the other issue is that this concerns nothing about your recon. Bernie Sanders' office, Warren Gunnels, who's a top aide for Bernie Sanders, said this has nothing to do with the recon. And that comment came out minutes ago, which of course it has nothing to do with it. Let's turn over just the dramatics then about the recon and the bipartisan, the roads and bridges infrastructure. Here are the two groups at issue. The progressives that support your recon, want your recon passed, and are protecting the recon like it's gold, and the moderate Democrats that are very focused on getting their roads and bridges passed as quickly as possible. Are the moderates against the roads, the recon? They won't say. More about that in a second. Are the progressives against the roads and bridges? They are not, but they are protective of the recon because that's their priority, not your roads and bridges. Who are the progressives? On the House side, they are AOC, Jayapal, Pelosi, Omar. And Pelosi, while she won't say specifically that she's a progressive, she's aligned with them because Omar's her closest friend, and she's very, very close friends with all these other progressives. The moderate Democrats in the House are the Goth gang, Gothenheimer, who Pelosi doesn't particularly like at all. Then on the Senate side, the progressive Democrats, of course, are Bernie, Liz Warren, Chuck Schumer, those individuals. So here's what happened today. Well, earlier today, the Goth gang, the moderate Democrats, really took a bad choice of where to pick their fight. And they picked a fight with Nancy Pelosi over the debt ceiling limit. Excuse me? Yeah, over the debt ceiling limit. And by doing that, Nancy Pelosi came out and was absolutely furious with them. And she said that this should not be happening because we are agreed to this debt ceiling limit before. Very, very fascinating comments by Pelosi. Now, this comes as other progressives were furious at the moderates yesterday, such as Jim McGovern, who says, my father once told me when I was growing up, it's a fine line between a good guy and a darn fool. He basically is a part of the progressives who think that the moderates are really sort of stonewalling, ambushing, setting up progressives. Pelosi's comments and meeting with the moderates today about the debt ceiling limit, not the recon, but the debt ceiling limit, was absolutely furious. She came out of the meeting and tore into moderate Democrats, reports a conservative publication. These members have all voted for this last week, so if they're concerned about how it might look in an ad, it's already in an ad. I love it. She's saying if you don't like how it looks in an advertisement, well, tough luck. You already voted for it last week, so it's already in the advertisement. I just love that quote. Yeah, thank you, Nancy. So she said that. So what happened with the Goth gang then today with your recon, your money? Well, this is what's going on with the Goth gang. The Goth gang in the month of July got an agreement with Pelosi that the roads and bridges will be called for a vote tomorrow, Thursday. Pelosi last week was asked whether she's going to uphold her promise to call the vote on the roads and bridges on Thursday. She said yes. The progressives said don't uphold your promise, break your promise. Bernie Sanders as well said, break your promise, don't call the vote. She is likely to call the vote, to which the progressives said, okay, you're going to call the vote. We're going to kill the roads and bridges if it gets called for a vote on Thursday. Let's go over what this means for you. Number one, does it hurt you, your recon, if the roads and bridges is passed on Thursday? No, it has nothing to do with, it has no negative implication to your recon if the roads and bridges is passed. Number two, if the roads and bridges is not passed, does it help your recon? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Why? Because the moderate Democrats, like the Goth gang, contend that the progressives are sort of a fringe small group that really has no strength in the congressional process, and that they can just sort of be run over, which you don't want to hear that to be said about the group that's protecting your recon. Of course not. This is what Gothenheimer said about the progressives and the protecting your recon today. I'd be shocked if a small fraction of the Democrats would actually vote against the roads and bridges. It just doesn't add up to me. Yeah, it does add up to me because they're protecting the recon. Absolutely. How many Democrats does it take to kill a road and bridge bill? It only takes 3. How many say they're going to vote against it on Thursday? So far, 60. Yeah, it's not particularly close, and it's not particularly a small fraction. Now, the Goth gang also said that reason he wants this roads and bridges bill out there and passed right away because it puts people to work. They're not building the roads and bridges for 3 years under this bill, so no one's going to get to work like tomorrow from this bill. It makes absolutely no sense. Bernie Sanders absolutely went on a war of words with the Goth gang, saying that I don't think there's anything God-given about Thursday. Well, he said tomorrow, but I'm saying Thursday, so you know which day I'm referring to. There's nothing God-given about Thursday. I think that was a pop song, wasn't it once? Let's be clear. This is one of the most significant pieces of legislation in modern history. If it doesn't pass on Tuesday, not Monday or Thursday or not Friday, it doesn't really matter. He's right. The road has been crumbling for a couple of years now, and so it can crumble for a couple more days. It doesn't need to be passed by Thursday. And he said that he said that basically they shouldn't even call the vote. So what is the president doing on this? The president brought into meetings all day early Tuesday, all day late midday Tuesday, and all day late Tuesday to talk to the moderate Democrats about the recon. And he said to them, okay, so you have a vote set up for Thursday for your roads and bridges. What do you think about the recon? Excuse me, I can't hear you. Can you speak up? I can't hear you. They didn't say anything. And he tried it again and they didn't say anything. The president, Pelosi, and the progressives are not happy that the moderate Democrats, the Goth gang, aren't saying anything about the recon. Yes, no, not saying anything. And so what's the president's message to them? If you don't pass my recon, if you don't pass my roads and bridges, if you don't do my debt ceiling limit, then why am I here? You can just have a Republican president 2 years from now. Excuse me? Yeah, that's basically the card he pulled out of his back pocket. And apparently everyone was really delighted he did it. It's a great card. Because how can you get people who aren't getting on point with you to get on point? Saying if I'm not here, if you don't want to do my stuff, then why am I here? Just get a Republican guy you can beat up. Oh boy. Yeah. So let's go over then where we sit tonight. Going into Thursday. So far, we're going to go over those monthly stimulus checks in just a second. We're going to go over third stimulus and fifth stimulus in just a second. But let's go over where we are right now. Number one, the vote will be likely called on the roads and bridges on Thursday. I would be surprised if Pelosi does another reversal and say, no, I'm breaking my promise, because at the moment she's keeping her promise. I think she's keeping her promise because she's already done a tally and that she knows the roads and bridges is going to fail. So why worry about calling the vote? If you've done the tally and you know it's going to fail, then just call the vote and have it fail. Having the roads and bridges fail works beautifully for the recon, for your money, because then it sets it up in a position that says, no, this is not a small fraction like the moderate Democrats want to describe the progressives. This is a very vocal fraction that was really protecting the president's legislation. Number two, we're likely to see the debt ceiling limit potentially done by Thursday if in the House. Remember, we have to go for a vote in the Senate first and then to the House. Number three, the roads and the recon in this way is looming as a great connector between three bodies of legislation, because the president is basically saying to them, you want me to go on the weekend with an 0-for-3 record, batting record? What's going on here? Get me things done and get them all done. And he is also having meetings with the progressives. All right, let's cut to those monthly IRS stimulus checks starting right now. Told you it was an extended broadcast tonight. We got a lot coming up. So those monthly IRS stimulus checks. The great news is that going into the passage of the $3.5 trillion recon on Saturday, after the $3.5 trillion recon on Monday, and throughout this week, the Democratic progressives on both the Senate and House have told viewers of this channel, yes, they are putting in that monthly IRS stimulus check, $2,000 a month. After the first month, $1,000 for 6 months. And the verb tense they're using is a forward future verb tense. Going to, will be, is going to amend. This is consistent with what Pelosi and the president said, which is, if you want to add things, tell me now. That's why I asked the moderates, what do you want to add? I don't hear you. I don't hear you. And that's why Ron Wyden says, I want to add extension of unemployment benefits. Let's go over how we got here. 8 weeks ago, I had told viewers to pick up the phone and advocate for your Democratic senators and House members about why you need a monthly stimulus check. And WR did. He picked up the phone, he called up Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware, Joe Biden's old confidant. Senator Chris Coons' office said, yes, I'm inserting a monthly stimulus IRS check in there. And there you go. Then everything sort of changed 3 weeks ago as this channel started delivering more and more exclusives about this subject matter. One of the first, that I was reporting that the House would be writing the legislation, not the Senate. I was right. That I was reporting that the House would vote first. I was right. That I was reporting that the Senate would vote last. I was right. And that Bernie Sanders is critical to the equation. You see, even tonight, he's critical of the equation because he's telling the House members, as a senator, what to do on Thursday. Yeah, he's very critical to this entire situation. So what did he say 3 weeks ago? He said, unlike prior budget chairmen of the Senate, I like to get out amongst the people when I'm writing a budget bill. Bernie is chairman of the Senate Budget Committee. We have a House and we have a Senate Budget Committee. He's the chairman of the Senate one. And I said, when he says he wants to get out amongst you when he's writing a budget bill, that means he wants to hear from you. He wants you to advocate. I said, pick up the phone and advocate. And Lynn Glenn did. Margaret did. Brother Joshua did. And what happened? They were told monthly stimulus check in there by Bernie Sanders' office. What does advocacy look like? Advocacy involves saying why you need it. I need it for this. I need it for that. Let's look at some screen grabs, some images from viewers who have written comments on this channel or sent me private messages on social media about their advocacy. Here is Margaret. Honestly, I and the woman on the phone were crying when I explained everything that the girls and I have been through. Another viewer writing, how have I been able to have 10 surgeries since my husband's passing? How am I able to have 2 teenagers and their hardships? How am I able to have SSDI? It's not enough. This is the true face of advocacy. And that's what Brother Joshua did 3 weeks ago, picked up the phone and advocated. As a 2020 volunteer at the community page, who helped get viewers hundreds of thousands of dollars for rent and utilities in the thick of the pandemic, he also is a Purple Hawk and a longtime viewer of this channel. He advocated for you, himself, his family, and his church. And Sanders' office said, yes, $1,000 to $1,400, 3 to 6 months, but Sanders needs to hear your support. And at that point, you step forward. And here are some more writings from other viewers of what they heard after they advocated across the congressional floor for your inclusion of a stimulus check provision. Here's Donnie. This is what Donnie wrote. Donnie writes, I called Bernie Sanders, and his secretary said, they're doing a forced stimulus check. I said, this is what I need. My city needs it. I need it to progress. I need and I need it for my water and everything. And I told her, and she said, we're getting a fourth. There was Donnie. But the messages kept on coming in, day out. What did they say? Let's look at them. Here is Hurricane Tina. I called Bernie Sanders' office, she writes. And I got through, and they did say they're putting a forced stimulus check in there. Here's what Carolyn wrote. I called Bernie Sanders' office to talk to the secretary. She said, we need help. I told her we need help out. We're losing our homes and what we got. And she said she agrees, and Bernie is putting a forced stimulus check in there. Lori called Sanders' office, and so did Yaya called Wyden's office. Wyden says he wants to put an SS200 in there as well. Will showed us the importance of calling not one, but 3 offices. He called Liz Warren. He says, this is what Will wrote. I called Bernie. I called Warren. I called Schumer's offices. And all 3 of their secretaries confirmed stimulus check. Elizabeth Warren's office asked me what kind of check I would think I would be sufficient. I explained I like the American petition, which is $2,000 a month. And they said they're on board with that. And they said Senator Warren is proposing $1,400 to $2,000, 6 to 12 months. And there you go. Lorica picked up the phone and called Bob Casey's office. She also spoke to Casey's office today as well. And Casey's office, she wrote, said they're in negotiations now for the amount of the stimulus check. By that point, we had Over 1,000 viewers being confirmed the same message from the senators. Coons, Sanders, Warren, Schumer, Casey, Wyden. Monthly stimulus check is included in there. It will be included in there, and it'll be $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000. But I still said you need to reach out to the House side. AOC, Jalapal, Omar, and Pelosi. And viewers started to do that as well. Here is what happened with Janice. I've called every congressperson I can. I called Jalapal, and also, she did say there's a forced stimulus check in there. Paul called AOC's office. He writes, she wants them to be $2,000 a month and $1,000 every month thereafter for 12 months. She assured me it's in the bill. The messages continue to come on in as Mark called Pelosi's office. And Mark writes, her staff told me that there would be a fourth around $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for 6 to 12 months, and that they're near finished negotiating on it. Paul going over to Omar's office. I called Omar's office. Rep Omar's office wants to put in a recurring stimulus check, $2,000 a month. After the first month, $1,000. $2,000 the first month, $1,000 every month thereafter. Ida, I just got off the phone with Omar, she writes, and they're putting in MSC in the bill, $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. 6 months. Lynn Glenn, I called Jalapal's office. The secretary said, yes, they're going to give us monthly stimulus checks. So there you go. What's great news about it is it's all consistent with what Pelosi and the president said. The $3.5 trillion that passed last Saturday, not a bill, but a markup of what would be a bill. Reason why it's not on the House floor is because they want inclusions. You want to include something? Include it now. Ron Wyden, I want to include unemployment benefits. AOC, Omar, Pelosi, Jalapal, and the other Democrats on the House, on the Senate side, I want to include monthly IRS stimulus checks. And there you go. So, next, what about the excitement of third stimulus? Let's cut over briefly to third stimulus and back over to what's going to go on tomorrow and my impressions and predictions for Thursday and Friday. Third stimulus has a massive cash infusion of $13 billion coming to cities, counties, and states from the federal government. And that's growing the money for rent, utilities, and SNAP that people are getting a lot more this month than ever before. Let's turn to those monies that you can get right now. Get a pen, paper, cell phone ready. I'm going to go over the big monies you can get for rent and utilities starting right now. The rent has gone up nearly 200% in less than a month. Let's look at the money for rent that it was just a month ago. Viewers on this channel were getting about $20,000 for rent. Well, what are they doing now? They're getting $40,000 for rent. Like Jen, when we were talking about utilities, Mark, you see right here, now his brother-in-law got $15,000. That's a 300% increase. When we talk about SNAP, it's now $21,000. That's a 400% increase. So get that pen, paper, cell phone ready. I'm going to go over all the details of how to get this money for this starting right now. I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to all 6. They have different pots of money, and they also have different eligibility. Number 2, list the keywords I say in this video. Number 3, get ready for those nonprofits. I'm going to detail them as well. Here are the 6 places to reach out to. City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority. State Hall, and State House Authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID. Mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Let's go over the 6 places again. City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority. State Hall, and State House Authority. Now, if you're a member, which I hope you are, you should refer to that newsletter. It comes out every night from this channel, and read the press release from Treasury about the $13 billion for rent. I want you to know what it is before you call up asking, so that you know what to ask for. Do you have it? I don't have it. Well, can I be on the waiting list? We don't have a waiting list. Well, can I call you tomorrow to see if you have it? Because guess what? They're getting the money, but it won't be there forever. It will be used up very quickly. Then the utility assistance. I want you to reach out to all utility companies. So if you have 5, reach out to all 5. And then finally, the nonprofits. A new refrigerator. Yes, 2 viewers of this channel have gotten new refrigerators in the last 7 days. 1 viewer also got a window fixed and a new furnace. On the other side, the St. Vincent de Paul charity and the United Way charity have been big success for viewers, with 2 saying they got funded within 24 hours. What are the 5 nonprofits? They are United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, St. Vincent de Paul. I've been doing videos about them since December last year. And one was a popular show called Purple, but I brought them back in the mix about a week ago, unsure whether they're paying. Oh boy, are they paying. So what's important to remember about the nonprofits is they pay more money or different money than the federal government. They have different eligibility, and they often pay for just totally different things, like clothing, like window, like small home repairs sometimes, and even sometimes small appliances or getting homeless people into shelters. Here are the 5 nonprofits also featured in the newsletter: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, St. Vincent de Paul. All right, let's cut over to the big money for SNAP. SNAP is money for food you get from the Department of Agriculture, and everyone's benefits are going up an average of 25% automatically in October nationwide. This is huge. I had told you there's 2 letters that come in, a first one and a second one. Well, guess what? People are now getting the second letter. Thank goodness. The second letter says your benefits go up an average of 25% starting October. The previous letter said, oh, your benefits are going down into September. So watch for that second letter. Next, the unemployment benefits. Yes, if you're overpaid from the state due to computer error, the refund check, the money is coming back to you. Reach out to your state for that money. Average payment is about $2,000 to $5,000. And then finally, the refund check from IRS. That's coming for the tax return that you paid taxes on the 2020 unemployment benefits, anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000. You can track it on irs.gov. Do a tracking search and reveal the when you're going to get it. Finally, if you haven't become a member, why not? The link is under the video. The newsletter comes out daily from this channel, about 2 hours after this broadcast, about 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time daily. It has all the big money in first, second, and third stimulus for you to get. That's how Johnny got $80,000, Mark $50,000, Mark's friends $50,000, Johnny's friends $100,000, Lorraine $100,000. Viewers are getting big sums of money because this is money under first, second, and third stimulus. It's now expanded to include the nonprofits, the Treasury statement. I want you to read that newsletter because it gets you big money. Finally, make yourself a promise. Once you get the money for rent and utilities as so far in the future as possible, it's important to understand that a lot of this money, like rent, may not be continued under fourth stimulus. Also, the nonprofits are not that busy at the moment, so reach out to them because those nonprofits are not in the current winter months yet. They're in the summer, early fall months. And those nonprofits, they're not getting a lot of phone calls at the moment, so reach out to them and get the big money. And with that, let's go into the big recap in a very extended, very different broadcast with a lot of breaking news across the board. Oh, do you feel like that was a lot? It was a lot. Let's go over what's happening. As we end a Wednesday night going into a Thursday, it's very possible after the time that this broadcast airs that the Senate Republicans and Senate Democrats will reach an agreement for a stopgap, aka continuing resolution, to fund the government through December 3rd and prevent a government shutdown on Friday for the debt ceiling limit. If that's the case, then we'll go over to the House for a quick vote the next day and then signed by the president. The House would pass it in about 10 seconds. That could potentially happen as early as tonight, if not Thursday morning. I believe now, based upon the comments from the Republicans in the earlier part of this recording, that that agreement will be reached and that the debt ceiling limit will be averted this Friday. Remember, and I don't think I said it in this video, I think I said it on Afternoons LA. Remember, the debt ceiling limit never had anything to do with you. Your checks, unemployment, your checks, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, your federal employee, or you work for the military, your checks were always going to come on time. They were never going to be delayed. Number 2, the debt ceiling limit has nothing to do with funding of the recon. The recon, it only concerns funding existing laws. And number 3, the calling of the vote on the debt ceiling limit did not negatively impact the recon at all. I believe now that based upon these comments late tonight, that you could see this debt ceiling limit done by Thursday. Remember, the deadline for this is Friday. Number 2, the vote on the bipartisan roads and bridges is still set for Thursday. Nancy Pelosi may change her mind. I don't think she is. I think she's going to call the vote, and I think the bill is going to implode. Ironically, one of the things I don't think I've picked up any time today until right now is that no time in the last 3 days has the president said, progressives don't vote against my infrastructure. he never said, don't vote against my infrastructure. Sort of as though he has left it up to legislators to do what they want to do. So with that, the Gothenheim's representation of that somehow the progressives are working against the president, I think the president thinks they're working in his benefit because they're protecting the recon, which you saw that quote on this channel no less than 1,000 times in July. Protect my recon. Remember that one? Yeah, I think he thinks they're protecting his recon, and this is how they protect it. Number three, well, if the roads and bridges passes, it doesn't hurt your recon. If the roads and bridges doesn't pass, it does help your recon because it shows that the power that came from the progressives is far more than that small fraction that Gothenheim represents in his war of words today. Finally, the inclusion of items into the recon. The situation's far from over, and I think that the more that things are cleared up and simplified in the next 48 hours, the more that we can focus on getting things into that recon. Not us, them. We know what we want to add. They can focus on the things being added in there. Remember to advocate down to the finish line, because guess what? One of the number one guy in the House, besides Pelosi and Steny Hoyer, had a comment yesterday when referring to the angst, the tensions about the recon and the bipartisan, the two bills. This is what he did. He is the House Democrat Caucus, Hakeem Jeffries. He said, we're trying to figure out the pathway to getting both of these very important bills over the finish line. He said my words. You think he was wearing purple? You think he'll be wearing purple tomorrow? You think he'll be wearing purple on Friday? Well, if there is no debt ceiling lapse on Friday, you can go out and get a purple shirt as well, Hakeem. And with that, I look forward to you joining me tonight because we've got shows at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and 11:30 tonight. And then I'm back with you tomorrow morning with Mornings LA. Early Mornings LA at 4 a.m., Countdown LA at 7 a.m., and then Mornings LA live at 9. Then we got the shows before Early Mornings LA at 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. as well. Tonight's shows are very important. Make sure you watch them because they show you how to track a check. It shows you how to watch for the arrival of a check. These are critical shows that go back over what happened with third stimulus when people said, where is my check? Where is my check? How do I find it? What happened to it? Watch those videos. Incredibly helpful shows. And with that, thank you for all the love and support and all the incredible work today. Thank you for the Purple Patrol. You've been doing a great job. And thank you for keep on pushing and advocating. Don't stop. Do not stop advocating. Remember, AOC, Omar, and Jalapal need to hear from you as well. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful evening, and stay with LA for more.